young, dumb American, arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting a fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face said I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. It gets so lit, I guess so, bitch. Now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tuesday with the Sports Nonsense and Whiskeys, gentlemen. How's everyone this fine evening? Pinky, Robert, cheers, my good fellas. Let's go!
That's a holiday
Tuesday.
week, man. Germany plays
Awesome.
on Friday. I'm hyped.
All right. Pinky, how you doing, buddy?
I think I'm freezing over here.
You are having some connection issues, it does look like, my man.
Here we go again. Here we go again.
Here I go again on my own. No, I'm just kidding.
Everybody
Oh,
get ready.
there
to
he goes.
poke the bear. We're gonna poke him. Just
Well-
start talking something that he wants nothing to do with, and then that way he comes back and he's just already angry.
Right? Well, Caleb, you did say last week that you and the wife would be getting into the
Yeah, it
dragon.
didn't happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Didn't-
I
yeah.
was gonna take the bet on that you weren't gonna watch it, but I figured.
Well, there was time, but she has gotten really into Eminem and started
like
watching
the
all these-
artist.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
And watching all these reaction videos and people breaking down his songs and his lyrics, and so she spent time showing me all the stuff she's been watching and realizing how much her husband actually knows about hip hop and rap, and
It's
she
amazing.
finally understood.
my mother-in-law and my wife were downstairs watching Beat Shazam, and they're both on a lot of these songs. I'm like, oh, it's this, and this, and this. They're like, how do you know this? I'm like, you just don't ask. I just
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I know a lot of music. She's surprised about that. So she didn't think I actually knew that much about rap like I always claim to, because I know all this other stuff, but definitely know my hip hop and rap. So when they're breaking down lyrics and she's like, do you know what that means? And I'm like, well,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And then she realized,
Especially when you live around it too, and you like know what's going on in the hip hop world and kind of pick out where it's going and stuff. Oh man, it's great.
yeah, I mean, the new stuff's terrible though.
Oh, it's awful.
I'm
honestly not excited for his new album. I
don't know. The stuff that dropped today wasn't bad.
I haven't listened to it yet. It's on my to-do list.
Not bad. We'll see what the whole album's like, but between Houdini and whatever the track was called today, not terrible. So could be solid. I was listening. This one guy that was trying to say that he fell off after the Marshall Mathers LP, and I was like, what I mean, if you're gonna say he fell off at all, you could claim that he started falling off after the Eminem show.
Wait,
The
LP1
Eminem
or
show-
LP2? I guess.
Well, the first one's Slim Shady, the second one's Marshall Mathers, the third one's the Eminem show. So, yeah, I've had the privilege of seeing him in concert a couple times. So, very familiar with everything up to, shoot, my head just went totally blank. Whatever the fourth album is, and then after that, I didn't listen to the last couple after that, and started getting back into it here recently. So, got to catch up a little bit on some of his stuff, but yeah, I mean, those first three are killer.
Pinky's back.
This guy, what's up? Can you hear us now? You look confused. Yeah, you look sad and confused. Unfortunately, it's not a good look. Not a good look. Bring down the audience, Pinky.
Right.
At some point, he might get this figured out. So
we'll see.
We'll mix it up a little bit here since he's still working on his stuff, and I know we're going to start with football tonight, American, and kind of need Pinky to do that. So we'll switch and go world football.
Well, did we have other nonsense to get out of the way first?
Well, I mean, if you have some, by all means. I was just saying we'll skip the football.
Okay. Boys, kicking off great. I love a lot of the cameos they have so far this season. It's been really fun to watch. Acolyte last episode was pretty intense. Some pretty good choreography for the lightsaber fights, along with some interesting introduction with some previous Legends information. So that was pretty cool. Everett's still getting hated on. I'm enjoying it for what it is. I'm still not fully decided on it, but I'm pretty confident of where this story is getting told and being told from. So I'm excited. And then House of the Dragon. This last episode was kind of disappointing. Kind of had a brief little inkling of season 7-ish vibes, and I don't know if I'm really there for it.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So I'm hoping this next episode really changes that narrative. Just I didn't like how this was told. Kind of bothered me. So, and then it's out, Caleb. So the time is ticking now for you. I will be watching Furiosa on Saturday. So I know Pinky has seen it. I'm not sure if you're a huge Mad Max fan, but that is one I've been waiting to talk about with Pinky on the
original. I love.
Sure, with Mel Gibson and Beyond the Thunderdome, you can't beat those. Those are classic movies.
Yeah. So big fan of those two. The new stuff is okay. I wouldn't say it's anything I'm hyped about by any means. So, like, if you see it and you want to discuss, you go right ahead, and I might eventually catch it on a Saturday afternoon while I'm trying to nap on the couch or something. But yeah, not something I plan on trying to set aside to watch per se.
Fair enough. I can understand that. I'm excited just solely because Chris Hemsworth is a bad guy. I love when you get some good hero characters and they finally just let a little bad out. It's nice.
I mean, I know Denzel Washington's had some pretty incredible roles over the years, but his character where he goes bad, kind of hard to beat that.
Exactly. It's just one of those. It's iconic almost, So, but yeah, that's really all the good nonsense. The Acolyte next episode is tonight. So I'll be watching that, still keeping up with it. And then that's pretty much what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot else. We've got some stuff coming up here soon. We're gonna try.
Qualifiers have been cool to watch. I know that's kind of that's more sports, but it's also a little nonsense. It's been pretty cool. I love some of the runners. I love the guy with the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Love that. I think that's awesome.
Noah Lyles, fastest man in the world right now, probably. So be fun to see what he can do in the 100, 200, and the 4x relay. 16-year-old was picked to do the 4x1 or the 4x4. Might have been the 4x4 actually. Now that I think about it, but yeah, 16-year-old going to be running in the Olympics.
Crazy.
And you run on the men's 4x anything, there's a good chance you're getting a medal. So
Yep.
that'll be nice to bring back to high school when that starts
Yeah.
to fall.
The real question is though, is can he drive?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think it matters after you get a gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, whatever it is at 16. I think any of those would be pretty stellar to roll around with. So we got stuff coming up for sure. I know Deadpool is getting
It's
ready.
the end of the month.
That's getting coming up here, so we're
Twisters.
That I'm torn on that one. We'll see how it plays out because the original is a classic. So
I love the original. I mean, Bill Paxton, man, you can't beat him.
Yeah, that original
game over, man. I mean, that's a different movie, but
yeah, I got you. But that original Twister is part of the reason I love tornadoes so much.
Yeah,
I want to see one in real life. So we'll see how they. I mean, if they go way too crazy with the tornadoes, then it's probably going to be a lame movie. That's part of the reason the first one was so good, is because it was like an outbreak, but it wasn't like 30 tornadoes that they were trying to drive around all at once. You know what I mean? It's like one this night,
yeah,
couple the next day that they try to chase, and then so on and so forth. So it's timed out more realistically in that sense. So that's where the new one can lose it for me real quick, because if they're like, well, there's 30 F5s and we're all gonna die, then
the premise seems interesting so far, that they're trying to kill a tornado as it's formed with these little ball things. I'm like, that's a cool concept. Very curious to see where they go with it from there. But I'm always game for a good disaster film. So
yeah.
I've got a great friend that she's watched the cast before. She's watching all the hurricane coverage. That's what she loves. She's like, just give me a good storm during the summer and I'll watch it.
I agree with that to an extent, for sure. Pinky, can you hear us now?
Is Pinky back?
Out?
I think I'm back.
You look like you're ever so slightly buffering a little bit, but we can hear you and stuff, so that's good.
It looks clear on my end.
Well, that's good.
Robert's the one glitching on my end.
Oh, that's probably a problem.
I don't know why I'm glitching.
For me, I was glitching with the background. I seem to, or at least it seems to be doing a little bit better. Okay. But
well, you keep bobbing and weaving, my man. Let us know you're there. We appreciate that.
I'm here. I'd hardline into this thing, but this is not one of the cool laptops that I could hardline into.
Yeah. Do those even exist anymore?
Oh yeah, you get a good gaming one, of course. My wife is desperately trying to talk me into getting her one, but I keep telling her that a tower is the better way to go.
I mean, if you're gonna game, you should be getting a desktop for sure.
And that's what I keep telling her.
Even I know that. Come on now.
She doesn't listen to me, but yet I'm still the tech guru. I'm like, I don't know what you want, but
that laptop's gonna be like obsolete in like a year, whereas tower
exactly.
You got a couple years on the tower before you got to start modifying what's in the tower, so you're good.
Oh, my buddy already is like, hey, I've got some extra RAM bits I just bought here. Take it. I'm like, cool. I'll just upgrade my RAM. So I'm excited. Something I love doing in my free time.
Beautiful. Pinky, do you have any nonsense, good sir, that you would like to throw out there for the people?
I got nothing, man. I got nothing. I mean, we got to see you out in the wild. I don't know if you guys talked about that or not.
We were waiting for you to disperse that, so we can go ahead and recap that and go into football. Pinky, lead the way.
It's always amazing when you get Caleb out of the house, because it doesn't happen often. That's what happens when you decide to have kids in your, late 30s. Not that you'd have a whole lot of places to go anyways in your late 30s, but at least kids keep you grounded, right?
Yeah.
But UFC fights at good company, UFC 303.
Thank God for the main event.
I was kind of out of it, really.
That card was lame. that main event was sweet, but that card as a whole was lame. So if it wasn't for that main event being what it was, it would have been a less than stellar evening as far as fights go, which seems to be more common than not, which is, why it's rare that I pay to or go somewhere to watch them.
Well, I don't pay for them. So let's go there first. I don't pay for them because that's what happens. Like, you'll be watching some UFC fight night that's on ESPN Plus, and it's amazing, top to bottom.
Yeah.
And then you get these pay-per-views that are like supposed to be just great, and maybe some of the undercard is pretty damn good. The guys who are trying to make a name for themselves and get a winning streak going and all that. But the main fights a lot of times are duds, man, just duds. So you never know what you're going to get, which is some of the intrigue. But yeah, I would agree. Without that last fight, the best part of the night was Pinky getting pick number 2 in his fantasy draft. That was probably the best thing that happened that night. So I'll take it.
So as far as the fight goes with Pereira, I'm starting to feel like he's a weight bully. Like, that's kind of my take on him at this point. Now that he's not a good fighter by any means, don't get me wrong there. But to think that he was fighting middleweight and now he's light heavy, and by the time that fight started, he was sitting at, they were saying, closer to 240. Like, dude, how about you just fight heavyweight and let's see what you got? Like, let's see what you can really do. And just fight closer to your natural weight. Pack on as much muscle as you want and go out there and fight the big boys and see if you can do the same thing to them. Because the way he laid out, is it Prochorov? Yuri?
I'd say Yuri.
Yeah, so Yuri, the way he laid him out, it was wild because right at the end of the first round, we were all sitting there going, oh, Yuri's lucky that round ended. Well, Pereira came out to start the second round. He's like, I ain't done. I was not done. I told you we were not done. And within 10 seconds of the round starting, he put him on his ass, and that was it. That was the fight. Like, he's scary, dangerous.
Man, that leg kick was just so quick, so fast, and it was like nighty-night. Time to go to sleep. Poor guy. I like Yuri, so it was a bummer to see him get done dirty like that. But he was probably concussed after the knockdown. He probably still hadn't recovered, and
dude, not even close.
Stuff like that happens, man.
That dude was out on his feet when they were picking him up, trying to put him on a stool. I mean,
dude couldn't stand straight for at least a solid 2 minutes. That was brutal. Man.
Yeah, so I want to see him move up to heavyweight. I want to see what he can do against the big boys. Because, honestly, if he goes up and let's say him and Jones fight after Jones and Stipe fight, and he beats Jones, like, you start talking about him as arguably the greatest UFC fighter of all time. The way he's putting people down since he came into the UFC. And what he's done it now, 2 different weight classes, and then that would be a third. It would be crazy. Still some work to do, obviously, but if he did that, there would be a conversation.
You could have a conversation, but I don't know if I'd put him there yet. But I don't see that fight happening. I do think he might move up to heavyweight and try getting 3 belts in 3 different divisions. I could see him doing that, but I don't think Jones is fighting. I don't even know if Jones is fighting Stipe, really. I feel like he's gonna find a reason to get out of that, and I just don't think he's gonna fight anymore. I think he's done.
Well, if that's the case, then it's too bad, because I think that'll be a black mark on his career is the fact that he really didn't fight a whole lot for the end of his career and kind of left a lot of things hanging, kind of similar to McGregor, honestly. So that would be a bummer, but Pereira, the way he's doing work right now is just crazy. Fun to watch.
I love the fact that he just keeps fighting. Every 3-4 months we have a Pereira fight.
Dude,
There's something to be said for that.
And he's 36. It's not like he's some young dude doing this. He's
Well,
just
and that's
going to
He's
work.
an animal.
And that might be why he's putting in that work, because he's only got a limited window to stamp his legacy and make his money. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I've heard like it takes a solid 3 months to recover from a fight, depending on how it went and what happened, and let your body heal.
Not
if
most
you
of
got
his
knocked
fights.
up a little bit. Granted, he doesn't get touched. I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, the turnarounds he's doing, like you said, is completely abnormal for not just a fighter, for a champion.
But that's what the real champs do. They just fight. I mean, injuries happen. I know that's kind of part of it, but if you're injured, you should be fighting. If you're a fighter.
Yep.
And that's I give him a lot of credit. Good to him. Let's go, champ. I will definitely be in to watch the next Pereira fight. So,
Yep.
we'll see we'll see what challenge they put in front of him next.
I'm ready for 304 for Patty to come back, though. That's going to be great.
I do love me some Patty.
Caleb, see if you can get a
Patty
pass.
even he's not getting a pass, bro. He used that one up.
No,
Maybe.
Caleb, find out.
We'll see what happens.
That's Saturday, July 27th. And that is at 8 o'clock. Okay, so like it's a normal one.
I do love me some Patty. Love Patty, love O'Malley, love Pereira right now. Those are the three that are fighting. If McGregor ever came back, I'd definitely be watching his fight.
We shall see where it goes, man.
Who's that young up and coming stud dude that hasn't quite gotten a big fight yet, but it's coming? That Bo Nickel, is that it?
Yeah, Bo Nickel.
Yeah, that dude could be fun to watch here coming up.
That dude's lame.
We'll see. He's dismantled everybody that they put in front of him at this point. I mean, that last dude, he felt bad that he even fought him. And Dana was like, my bad. You're right. My bad. It's time to give you a fight. That's what you saw after that.
We shall see. But that was only my weekend was so quick. Saturday we were doing stuff like all day. And then Sunday was just kind of relaxed. So it went by super quick.
Those happen.
Let's anything else we want to talk nonsense related before we move on to the meat and potatoes of the show?
The meat and potatoes. Like, our nonsense isn't part of our meat and potatoes.
I mean, it's a pretty consistent.
It's kind of like our foreplay. It's our foreplay. It
gets everybody warmed up
and revving, and then we get into the show. That's
Depends
how
on
that's
how
what the
nonsensical
nonsense is.
we're feeling some days, I guess.
I mean, I'm always feeling nonsensical, but that's just me.
I love that we say anything that isn't sports that we want to talk about is nonsense. And we just categorize it all into that lump. It's fabulous.
Could be anything. Could be politics. Could be what happened this weekend. It could be, dealing with wife and kids. Anything. It's nonsense.
That's right.
We're here for sports and whiskey.
And whiskey. Yeah.
I mean, even Robert.
His is blurred out.
Look, I'm still moving in here. I'm going through stuff. I don't think everybody wants to see my wardrobe, so I'm just trying to,
No, it's just funny
everybody.
that you held it up and it was blurred out like it's some kind of sensor that we have to put up there. For
I know, right?
Drinking. Robert does not have a drink, ladies and gentlemen. He is not. We promise.
It's blurred.
All right, Pinky. Well, bring us to the meat and potatoes, good sir. Let's start with the big stuff tonight.
Let's go.
I got a feeling this show is going to, man, I don't know. Are we going to get combative? We might get combative. We might. We'll see.
Ooh.
We'll see. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
I don't
So-
know. I don't know. It's kind of hard.
We'll see.
I think
We'll
we
see.
feel pretty similar on what we're about to discuss.
We might. So last week we did talk about the NFC North, and again, I think it's debatable, like we mentioned, that could be the toughest division. Could be the most interesting division as well. I think you could make the same arguments for the AFC North, the teams we're talking about tonight. As a reminder, the AFC North is being they're going to be showcased on the Hard Knocks in season show. It's going to be the AFC North, and they're going to go through and be following all 4 teams during the season. It's kind of crazy. It's taken 10 years, 12 years to where we've got like Hard Knocks all season. We've got Hard Knocks off season, Hard Knocks training camp, which is the OG, and then Hard Knocks in season as well. So pretty cool that we've come that far.
I'm over Hard Knocks.
I
didn't watch last season. I didn't watch any of the in-season stuff.
So
I
like
all the same.
The in season is a lot like Amazon's All or Nothing, and that was I like the in season. The in season one I think is really good. The training camp one, it's supposed to get us excited about football, and then excited about some of these players that are lower it down on the roster, might not make the team. They get you interested and excited about those players, and then you see those players get cut, right? Which is the harsh reality of the NFL. Not everybody makes it. Have you watched Hard Knocks at all, Robert?
No, you all have been talking about it on the cast a lot, so it's on my watch list. I need to get into it.
So when training camp starts, that's when you'd want to put that on the watch list.
Okay.
Because you don't want to watch you want to watch it weekly. You don't want to watch it when it's all done. Like by the time it's all done,
right.
It's not worth really watching at that point.
Because it starts on the 9th, right?
That sounds right.
No,
August
it should
9th.
start no, that's too late. Maybe.
No,
that's
that sounds
okay.
right.
That's right. That's right. August 1st is the first preseason game. It's
Yeah.
August 1st.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it.
It should be fun. So talking AFC North. So we got to start
Are you
out
watching
with
the Brazil-Colombia game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know he is. You know he is.
What?
I mean, we'll talk about that next, but this dude has like a tablet at his desk watching the game, like jumping up and down while he's talking to people.
It's not talking to
freaking out the guy over the wall.
Smart. I like it.
Dedication, homie. Like, this is what I live for. This is my soccer time. Love it.
And it's not even World Cup time yet.
No, it's 2 years out. That's 2 years out. We'll get there.
That'll be in the conversation. We'll get there, Pinky. There's a lot to discuss.
My bad. I could just hear it. I thought that's what I was hearing. So
yeah, it's
I
on.
had to ask.
I'm hearing something. It's either Robert's soccer or Robert's dogs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go close my door because my wife's trying to get them to howl.
Oh, that's fun. That's what you want to teach Huskies.
Right. Something tells me Robert's not training her right. Are we allowed to say that in today's age?
Probably not.
What?
Probably not allowed to say that, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Robert, you're not training your wife right.
Comments to come after, not on a live show.
Smart. He's
I know.
smart.
I'm gonna get canceled for that. It's fine.
Nah.
It'll be fun when Hannah watches this back.
I mean, I don't know.
She's not already commenting. She's not watching.
So.
We just watch her open the door behind Pinky with a bat.
All right.
Nah,
All right.
she'd take care of me in my sleep.
Yeah, there you go. That's always fun.
She's smart.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
All right. Let's talk the AFC North.
Talk it.
God, where do we start? I mean, I think we've previously do what?
Let's start with the defending champs.
Start with the champs. Well, that's the Baltimore Ravens.
It is.
Lamar,
And
my man.
I would probably argue that Lamar has probably the most pressure on him of any quarterback in the AFC. I think you might be able to say him and Dak, like who's got more.
I don't hate that.
I just think he's under a lot of pressure, and I think people would take that, different ways. But right now, Lamar's got 2 MVPs. He's got tons of stats. He has tons of highlights. All Lamar is in the regular season, he's Superman. In the playoffs, he's Superman with a knife of kryptonite in his back. That's what the playoffs are for Lamar.
I wouldn't go that far.
And,
that
hold
team,
on,
for whatever reason, gets so injured by the end of the season that they're not playing with all their weapons.
His playoff stats are 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions.
I know, but again,
in all of his playoff games.
It's crazy that, like, you go back and look at the rosters he was playing with in the playoffs, and you're like, okay, like, yeah, that makes more sense now. So they need a season where they go healthy into the playoffs.
Superman, look, you got to get it done, man.
Mahomes isn't winning the Super Bowls he has.
I would argue that Super Bowl the Chiefs won last year had less talent on that offense than any Lamar Jackson team.
No.
Because that Chiefs offense was really bad last year.
It was pretty good by the time the playoffs rolled around. They figured out Rashee Rice was the wide receiver. Travis Kelce was there. Pacheco was a solid running back, one of the best O-lines in the game. Don't downplay what they found at the end of the season just because of the way it started. I mean, the Ravens do the opposite. They start off hot because everybody's healthy, and then by the end of the season, they're playing with their 6th-string running back, half their offensive line. Their starting tight end, who's arguably the best tight end in the league, is out. They don't have a wide receiver. Like, there's more context to Lamar's just really bad in the playoffs than just Lamar's really bad in the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying those are all excuses. He hasn't played great by any means, so I'm not trying to let him off the hook. But I believe there's some more context to why he hasn't played great than just simply himself not shining when he needs to. Now, he does need to step up, so I agree that there's a lot of pressure on him this year because of what they put around him now, better offensive play calling. I mean, that run game should be scary dangerous with Derrick Henry, who I believe still has an easy, solid 2 years of prime left on him. So, I mean, weapons all around. Like, he does have to prove something this year. I think an AFC Championship game at a minimum is kind of what he needs to be at.
I mean, they were there last year. So I feel like he's definitely, like, him and Josh Allen are almost in that same spot of, Super Bowl or bust. And, God, how does it suck to be both Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen? That it's almost like back in the day when Brady went to almost every Super Bowl and you had Rivers and Roethlisberger and Manning. Like, can we get one? Come on, Brady, can you let us get in one? That's what Mahomes is doing to Allen and Lamar. And I mean, he let Joe get in one. He let Joe get in one, but
Lamar and Allen, I feel like, are both in positions where even if they won one, if they didn't just play lights out for the whole playoff run, they're still going to have the same amount of doubters. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if they win one, I feel like people are still going to be like, well, he played average. Like, if they don't just play lights out, I think they're still going to have doubters on both of them.
I think
Now,
they just need to win
some
one.
of them. It'll quiet some of them, obviously, but I think they're both in a position at this point in their careers where the people that are doubters or haters are always going to be that way, regardless of what they do. Well, I mean, Lamar's got 2 MVPs. One of them's unanimous, right? Like, I mean, not sure what you're still trying to hate on. Still trying to call him a running back, this, that, and the other. Like, running back wouldn't still be the starting quarterback of that team, leading them to the playoffs and one of the Super Bowl favorites. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not the way that works.
I mean, he's advanced his game. He has. He's gotten better, but he's still this. Again, according to, I'm not sure what website tracked it. There was 2 quarterbacks that were at the bottom of the league when it came to, when they tracked all incompletions and how inaccurate their incompletions were. Lamar was second.
Yeah.
The only other guy, the worst, and it's not Russell Wilson.
Justin Fields.
No, it wasn't Justin Fields, actually. It was Deshaun Watson last season.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Deshaun Watson was, when they tracked all incompletions and how inaccurate his incompletions were, he was worse. Deshaun Watson was the worst. Lamar Jackson was second.
I guess that's not crazy surprising given how much time he was out of the league, and last year was really his first full year back. Getting a play.
It wasn't even a full year. It was just he got.
Then he got hurt. I know. Then he got hurt. So, what did he play? 10 games, I think. I think he got 10 games before he got injured.
He might have got. I don't even know if he got 10. I think he got like 8.
But that's not.
I think they played Dorian Thompson-Robinson once. They played that other guy they had once, and then they had brought Joe the ghost of Joe Flacco off the couch to come play. So
I mean, if Baltimore's smart, they really developed that offense to make him easy looks for throws, and Derrick Henry gets to run the ball.
I mean,
you run the 2 tight end sets like I keep begging them to with Likely and Andrews. You're going to have a couple wide receivers that you should be able to plug and play out there now. So, I mean, Bateman could still be really good. I've heard whispers of him having a breakout season all of a sudden. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point in his career where he's at and what they brought in. But, I mean, Zay Flowers looks like he's the top dog. You got Bateman, who's still solid. You've still got some other guys around them that you can plug and play. If you run the 2 tight end set, you run with Derrick Henry, I feel like Lamar Jackson could have another MVP caliber year, but more so because he's passing.
Well, we'll just say, and maybe this was Todd Monken. I don't know where his mind went. You can't have in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, who are pretty good against the pass. They're not bad against the run by any means, but that's where you can make some hay. And you're a running football team, and your running backs have 6 carries.
Dude, even if that's the
whole
best
game?
running defense in the league that you're playing, you were the best running offense in the league.
Yep.
You don't magically decide not to do what you're best at, no matter what the other team does. The whole idea of football is imposing your will on the other guys. If you are the best running team in the league, the easiest way to impose your will on another team is to run the ball down their throats.
Which is kind of crazy. It's what they did against the Houston Texans, right? The first half, it was close. And that second half, man, they just imposed their will on them, and they just took over.
So what happens when you're a solid running team?
And I was for sure they would do that against the Chiefs, and somehow they were just like, no, we're going to throw the ball. Mind-boggling. We got to definitely get some of Robert's thoughts on this, but before I let Robert chime in, the biggest loss, I think, for the Ravens, something that I think that's really going to miss, is Mike McDonald, who was their defensive coordinator, who ended up leaving and going to the Seahawks. He put together some really good game plans. I mean, The Chiefs won that game, but it was 17-10.
That defense has always been good, though, and I trust Harbaugh a lot in building staffs and bringing in the right personnel. So you're right. It's going to be a loss.
Can you name the defensive coordinator?
Nope.
Nobody could, because he is literally a first-time play caller.
But that's okay. Like, again, I have faith in Harbaugh. And that defense still has a lot of really good pieces. It's not like they fall off. So
I just think it's going to be difficult. I think their defense will take a step back. So if their offense doesn't take a pretty big leap forward, I think it could be difficult for them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not worried about the defense.
Okay. We'll see. Hopefully you're right. I don't like seeing a guy, get his first opportunity and then just like completely fail, right? It'd be nice to see him, do well, grow into the role and have a job and feed his family, right? That's what happens when you can't do the job is you end up out on the street and you can't feed your family.
Real quick. Right? I will say I like the Ravens to repeat. I like the Ravens to repeat. So I'm not as concerned about the defense. I think the offense will take a step forward. So I really like what they've got going there. And I still think Lamar is going to continue to prove people wrong about him. It might not be big steps like maybe I was hoping to see initially, but I think year over year, people are going to have less to say about his game and what he can do.
And in my opinion, Christian McCaffrey was the MVP last season. So,
well, and I'm not going to, I'll listen.
I know they gave it to Lamar, but like to me,
I'll listen to that argument all day. Not a problem there, Pinky. I'm not mad at that at all. So but again, I think Lamar's going to continue to do things where people are like, oh, he's a running quarterback. And then they'll go look at his stats and they'll be like, oh, what? No, actually, he threw the ball a lot this season. And he had really good averages. And
the current knock against him is when you play Lamar Jackson, you keep him in the pocket.
Right.
That's your best chance to beat him. No. Robert, what do you got on the Ravens?
So with the Ravens, really thinking Henry's gonna have a killer season. Him and Lamar are just gonna link up, and it's gonna be badass. The run game's gonna be strong. And Caleb, to piggyback off of what you were saying from the whispers, there are a lot of them. I was seeing a lot of articles from ESPN talking about how Rashad Bateman is really looking put together this season. Is going to be a force to reckon with.
What is this, year 4 for Bateman? Is it year 4?
Sounds right.
Yes, he was drafted in the first round in the 21 draft.
We've been waiting for that breakout because he came out of Minnesota looking like he was going to be just awesome.
A stud. Yeah, a stud.
So, I'm really excited. Like Caleb said, I'm also thinking that the Ravens are going to repeat. And I really think this year they're going to go through it. As long as they hold together strong with the defensive coordinator, and then as long as Harbaugh, keeps the run game strong and where it matters, I think it'll be great. So excited for the Ravens. I'm I had Lamar transferred to me from the league that I just joined that we did the draft for. He's definitely, Caleb, like I told you, was on my thought process to maybe keep for some of the players that I had. So definitely something to be thinking about for sure.
When you're in a keeper league, he's definitely a guy to think about. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's on my mind, but I'm not quite sold on him yet. But we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, then that would lead us to Team 2, if we're kind of going in order of how we feel like they're going to finish. Oh, this is hard. It's hard. Actually, you know what? You tell me what team's going to finish next, Caleb, because I don't know.
Well, if everybody's healthy, all things considered, like we always talk about, Cincinnati's going to be second.
What? Oh, man, I'm thinking the Steelers are going to have something.
Cincy's going to be second. Cincy will finish second if everybody's healthy for the year. That offense is too potent, and it keeps that defense off the field just enough for those pass rushers that they have to be able to do some damage. That is their exact game plan. And I think the first pick in the draft that they used on the big fella Mims out of Georgia says that all you need to know about what they're trying to accomplish. Higgins is coming back. They have Jamar Chase. Their run game will be whatever they want their run game to be, and Joe Burrow will light people up. And that's what they're going to do, period. And as long as Joe Burrow is healthy with those wide receivers, they are a Super Bowl contender. And I can't say that about the other two teams left to discuss due to their quarterback situations. As much as I love one of them, they're not in the realm of carrying a team at this point in their careers, I don't believe, in Watson and Fields or Wilson to lead the team over somebody like Joe Burrow can and has proven he can do. And then you put the weapons that they have in a 1A in Chase and Higgins. No, I don't. They're going to be fighting Baltimore for that one spot in the division if everybody's healthy. And that defense is underrated. I think people underrate how good that defense actually is when the offense is productive.
Yeah, I don't know how to say the defense coordinator's last name, but Lou, I'll just call him Big Lou. Big Lou can call a pretty good defense. So
yeah, I mean they added Chris Jenkins, the D tackle out of Michigan, to help run stop. They did a lot of good things in the draft.
They picked up Sheldon Rankins, who's another big boy in the middle. I'm glad you said that because again, I have a man crush on Joe Shiesty. He's just like a cool dude. I feel like he's a guy that you could literally have a 2-finger and a cigar with and just shoot the shit. So, like, I love Joe Burrow. I love watching him play. He just doesn't look like he's rattled. He's Joe Cool, man.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. So I'm glad you said it because I'm biased, right? I've got a man crush on him. So I would say that as long as he's healthy, they should definitely be number 2 in the division. But I'm also going to put the caveat out there. I think this division could go all like last year. The Bengals, I think, were the worst team in the division, and they won 8 games. Like they were playoff worthy until like the second to last week of the season.
Well, you were talking last week about the AFC North all finishing above 500. So you're talking 9-8 at a minimum. You're going to see the same thing with this division, I feel like, to be perfectly honest with you. So
you absolutely can. We'll talk about Cleveland, but that's the team I'm worried about. But since if Joe Burrow's healthy, plays the whole year, this team's definitely a playoff team. And, I think all the teams could fight for the number 1 spot in the division.
I mean, Hendrickson is I think he's a poor man Max Crosby.
Yes.
He's underrated.
Cheers. That is a great analogy there. That's a great call out.
Appreciate that. So I think while people want to talk about the defenses in Pittsburgh and the one in Ohio with the Browns and then even Baltimore, since these defense is underrated, and if that offense can actually produce and not leave the defense on the field all the time, I think you see a potential top 10 defense in Cincinnati, in all honesty. So I think the fact that people are underrating that as much as they are and forget, I think for some reason, how good Joe Burrow really is. They're going to be fighting for the division.
We are going to, Zach Taylor, I think, was the one calling plays, I think. So I think we're still going to be okay there. But the Bengals did lose their offensive coordinator because he went to Tennessee. He's the new head coach in Tennessee.
I think it's Kyle Shanahan, LaFleur, McVay, that kind of thing where he has OCs that will move up and get jobs. Andy Reid started it all, right? There's still confusion on why Bieniemy, and there's enough rumors going around now of why he's not a head coach. But still, that's Andy Reid. He's got OCs, and they might go on to succeed or fail, but he was the one calling the plays. So, yeah, Bengals will be fine there still.
Yeah, their OC, it's kind of like the Ravens DC. Never heard of him. He's been on the Bengals staff for a while, so it's not like he's out of the blue, but he is not he's not well known. I do think I was going to say Zach Moss was a sneaky good ad. I feel like Zach Moss, after leaving Buffalo,
he played well in his
things
time
out
last year, filling in for Jonathan Taylor in Indy. He played really well. Now, here's the catch. I don't think he's going to be a main back, so he wouldn't be somebody I'd grab in fantasy per se, because I think him and Chase Brown are going to split a lot of carries and be a pretty solid run game, in all honesty.
If you're playing zero running back, I think you can grab either one of those guys.
That situation for sure. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I think him and Chase Brown are going to split carries. I think it's going to be more of a 50-50 timeshare than maybe people are willing to believe at this point in time. So keep an eye on that. But either way, I think it's going to be still a really solid run game.
And then another sneaky addition to their team, outside of Amarius Mims and Chris Jenkins, who were both, again, we love building in the trenches. So they made those picks, and we were like, yes, that's how you do it. Jermaine Burton could be sneaky good from Alabama, right?
Yep.
He didn't. You could say at least this last season didn't have the best throwing quarterback making him look good, right?
Sure.
And I think he got hurt the year before, so he hadn't really gotten to show what he could do. He still went third round. I think if I remember right, he's blazing fast.
He's going to be a solid replacement for Boyd, I think, in that third option in that slot position. Keep an eye on him to have a really sneaky good year as a rookie for sure. So totally agree there as well.
And who knows? They may even get something out of Mike Gesicki. Maybe. Did somebody hit the post, Robert?
That was a really close free kick.
Okay. You can always see when Robert he gets excited for a second. It's like, oh, disappointment.
Everybody just listen to the announcers.
Right.
Yeah. I was actually had it turned up because I was watching one of the penalties they just called for. It should have been an advantage, at least in my eyes, and they didn't play it. But we'll get to that. Don't mind me.
Yeah, you're up next, Robert. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on the Bengals?
So I'm not too overly familiar with the Bengals, other than Joe Burrows and Anakin look like wannabe right now, and it's fucking hilarious.
That's how cool Joe Burrow is.
I'm excited for the memes to come this season for that, because they've already been epic. So, really on the other side of that, I don't have much about the Bengals. I don't know too much about the AFC North, other than the Steelers, with what's going on with them. But I know they're kind of a swing thing normally. But I mean, Mike Tomlin, man, always has a winning season. Feel like they're still going to be pretty dominant in their games.
Did we do a bad job teaching this guy?
No, he's just not there yet. Give him some time.
Okay.
Hey, man.
I mean, when did he start? February? Like after the Super Bowl?
I'm already a failure as a father. I don't want to be a failure as a mentor as well.
So.
Man.
He hasn't gone through a football season with us yet, Pinky. Give him time.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got fantasy. He's got fantasy to pay attention to now. He's gonna have.
I got two fantasies to pay attention to now.
He'll catch up.
I'm getting there.
He'll catch up.
Okay. All right. I like Cincinnati a lot.
In time.
I was trying to find. I've got a Burrow jersey. I was trying to find. It's so clean. It's one of my favorite jerseys.
I forget what season it was. I think it was 2 seasons ago, maybe 3 now. But Cincinnati put out these badass white and black jerseys.
Oh, the black ones.
And I was almost bought one just because of how awesome they were.
I like the icicles. That's what Pinky's got, if I remember correct.
No, I've got their black.
Oh, you do have the black one?
Oh yeah, here it is. I love it. It's clean. Got the nice orange on the side. All black. I love it. And it fits me like a glove too.
We just went to QVC, ladies and gentlemen. We'll throw up the number here in the comment section. $99.99 is the current going price if you're interested.
It's $45. 45.
But yeah, no, I'm about those black and white jerseys that they had. I almost
Those
got
are
one.
nice. Those are nice. So, the one thing about white jerseys is every time I put on a white jersey, I get something on it.
Yeah. I didn't say you had to buy it. I'm just saying those are the ones that look the sickest.
So,
meanwhile, I'm repping the white jerseys over here.
Yeah, you gotta be careful when you're wearing white. You gotta be.
Oh, and I mean, I'm having carne. I'm eating carne asada fries, and I'm doing just fine. So I feel like it might be a pinky issue.
It's possible. Some people have the ability.
It's definitely a pinky issue. Okay, you know, my mouth is not as big as I think it is. No, it's an affliction, Robert. You know. All right, so moving on.
So who would be third? You're doing this in order, like you said, so I'm just holding you to it. I'm keeping you true, man.
I know. I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
Yeah,
you are. Smart. That's right, you are.
and we'll talk about why in a second. But for the Steelers, look, I think there's a lot to talk about with the Steelers, and I think we'll have a decent discussion here. I'm going to say this: I love that they picked up Patrick Queen from the Ravens. He feels like a Steeler.
Yeah, he does.
Like he felt like a Raven. Now he feels like a Steeler. Fast hitting linebacker. I'm in for that. Like when the Steelers have good linebackers, like it just seems right, you know, because that's what they've kind of been known for a long time in their 3-4 defense is just having really good either pass rushing linebackers or sideline to sideline can come get you linebackers. So
yeah,
I really love that pickup. A sneaky good pickup they made. And this is probably not on everybody's radar, but they picked up Cordell Patterson. Robert, do you know why that's a sneaky good pick? This is some trivia here.
Cornell Patterson. I'm looking it up.
Corduroy.
So, yeah, he is literally just a guy that you get the ball in his hands, and he does the rest.
He's nicknamed Flash. So, all right, I'm seeing where you're going here. Okay.
No, that's Cordell Stewart.
Yeah, that's Cordell Stewart.
No, I'm looking up Cordell Patterson.
I don't remember him being called Flash, but he is fast.
Oh wait, Cordell Stewart was Slash.
Slash, yes.
When did they start calling Patterson Flash? When did that?
I don't know.
This is on his about that on Google.
I mean, I don't know. He's been on a couple teams now, so I don't really know. But
okay,
with the new kickoff rules, this is a really, really smart play. Because he can play running back, wide receiver, and he's going to be your kickoff guy. Like, that's awesome. And the way that they're going to do kickoffs now, kickoffs matter. And the return game is going to matter again. And I would not be shocked if we see him house 1 or 2 this season.
Nope, wouldn't surprise me in the least.
So, I like that a lot.
Man, I'm almost out of whiskey already, boys. Shit.
Ooh. That's a tough one. Not to mention, I love the Steelers draft. Love it.
Yes.
They went.
What was their need going into the draft, Pinky?
Offensive line.
Did they address that in the draft?
You know, I think they threw enough darts as they could at it. That's for sure.
Yeah, they did.
They got Fontenot from Washington. Awesome. They got Zach Frazier as an inside player. He's, nasty. And then they got a Division III guy, Mason McCormick, who is also mentioned to be one of the nastier guys as well. They added Roman Wilson, a wide receiver from Michigan, who, when the Steelers draft a wide receiver, they're typically right.
Yeah, and I said this, and people wanted to tell me I was an idiot for it, but I think they're missing the point that I was trying to bring, and I'll try to say it better here. But he possibly could be the best wide receiver in this draft. And we don't truly know what he's capable of because he played at Michigan, where they didn't really throw the ball like they did where the other top wide receivers went. Now, I'm not trying to say he's better than Marvin Harrison or Neighbors or even a Polk or McMillan out of Washington or anything like that. I'm just saying that the untapped potential that he has could be way off the charts. And alluding to what Pinky just said, if the Steelers draft a wide receiver, you should probably pay attention to who they drafted, because they have a pretty damn good track record when it comes to drafting wide receivers. So when I said he could be the best wide receiver in the draft, I wasn't saying it literally like I think that he is. I'm just trying to say that because he played at Michigan, we don't really know how good he is as a wide receiver because they just didn't really throw the ball.
So I would just tone that statement down just a little bit by saying he could be a really damn good wide receiver. Like when you say he could be the best, I don't see that happening. Odunze or Marvin Harrison are going to be
There's
awesome.
plenty of wide receivers over the years that weren't supposed to be the best wide receiver in their class, and then they were above a lot of big names. It happens all the time in the NFL. So it's not like I'm saying something that is abnormal for the NFL. You know what I mean? And I think that's where people are getting all crazy. Yes, Marvin Harrison's going to be really good. I don't doubt that at all. But nobody saw Tyreek Hill coming. And then look what he is. Roman Wilson can run. And he's got great hands by all accounts. So I'm just saying that it's worth paying attention to when the Steelers draft somebody like that we don't know what their ceiling could be because of what they played and were able to put on tape. And then the fact that I think the Steelers could be really good this year. And they're going to put the ball in the air.
Well, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the shit out of the ball. With Warren and Harris, they're going to run a lot. Arthur Smith runs the football. That's what he does.
People realize.
He passes enough.
Tannehill was a top 6 quarterback 2.5 years, almost 3 years in a row in that Arthur Smith offense, because it gives you a lot of really open, good looks. So while they may not sling it 30 times, you'd be surprised that they're still doing it 25, and the yardage compiles because of the looks that those quarterbacks get. So whoever's playing that Steeler behind the center, I think is going to have a good year.
Which, for the first couple weeks, it's going to be Russell Wilson.
Man, I hope not, but it's sure starting to lean that way.
It's going to be Russell Wilson until he has a few of his Russell Wilson games. And
I personally still think it's smarter to start Justin Fields because you know what you have in Russ. So if Fields plays bad, you can bring Russ in, but you may as well let Fields go from the jump and see what he can do. There's just a higher ceiling there. So not trying to have my bias of Fields and he's not gotten a fair shot. Just thinking from an NFL organizational standpoint, you didn't pay Russ anything. You are paying Justin Fields more. You did give up something to get him. I would let him go out there and see if he can play or not. And if he can't, then you don't have any hard feelings or bad feelings about the acquisition.
But I feel they're more happy about him being the emergency plan if needed versus let's roll him out there.
I just don't understand why you would trade for him if you weren't going to make him the starter knowing you have Russ. It's not like they got him and then went out and got Russ. They had Russ already.
I mean,
so,
at the end of the day, you traded a 6th-round draft pick for him, so really that doesn't even matter, really.
I know.
In
I'm not saying they gave up a lot. I'm saying they gave up something, and you're paying him more. So, to me, I would rather see what the young guy who could potentially be the franchise quarterback can do in a competent offense with actual talent around him rather than Russ doing Russ things. Which I think will be average above slightly. So you know what you're going to get there.
I mean, if they run the football, play action, I feel like you're going to get pretty similar numbers as he had this year.
Yeah,
close to 3,500, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, and
I agree.
And again, you'll win some games because they won 8 games.
They won 9.
Broncos won 8.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Steelers. Sorry, my bad.
No. The Steelers did win 9.
I got you.
But the Broncos won 8.
Yeah, I would rather know what my potential if I have the potential, this isn't like it's Justin Fields' first year starting. You know what I mean? If that was the case, I could see you sitting him if you had drafted him late or whatever, and you had Russ. Then I would understand that. But it's not that situation. So I would, and again, trying to just remove the Justin Fields fan club from me, just the situation of what they had there. It would seem to make more sense if you have a true competition in training camp and it's close. I would run Justin Fields out there with the talent that they're going to have around him and see what he's capable of. Now, I will say either way, whoever plays quarterback for the Steelers, I think Najee Harris has a great year. I think Jalen Warren has a good year. And I think George Pickens has a great year. I really do expect pretty big things from this offense.
I think Warren's numbers might not look as good. At least he won't be as productive in the passing game. Russ doesn't hit. I mean, Russ and Justin Fields are not great at hitting running backs.
They will in this offense. When you have Najee and Warren and you can just dump and run and go.
I mean,
I think you'd be surprised. I think people are a little concerned with Arthur Smith because of what he was doing down in Atlanta, and God only knows what he was doing with the talent down there in Atlanta. I think he was trying to outsmart everybody. But I think you'll see more of the Tennessee offense, and those running backs had some decent production in the passing game. So, and I wouldn't say they're anywhere as talented in the passing game as what Harris and Warren are capable of. So we'll see. I mean, Freiermuth is another name to keep a really close eye on because he could be a really great weapon as well. He's shown some potential there. And depending on how Arthur Smith decides to use him, that could be another really great potential season there from a tight end. So I'm excited to see what the Steelers offense does with them looking like they address the offensive line and the fact that they're going to have what I believe is a competent play caller in Arthur Smith running that offense.
We'll see. It can't be worse than last season, but I still don't. I don't know if it's not enough to beat Cincy and Baltimore for sure, in my opinion. And I don't think their defense is always solid. It's not been amazing.
Yeah, I don't think they're competing for the division in the sense that they're going to win it. I could see 3 or 4 weeks left, them having like this mathematical chance still to win it. You know what I mean? But everybody really knows that they're not going to. And then getting it in that 7 or 6 seed, even for the playoff spots. I think they could have that good of a season.
I mean, they're right. I mean, they're going to be 9-8, 10-7. They're going to be right there. So playoffs are within their grasp. Robert, anything on the Steelers?
No, but I'm thinking definitely that Russell Wilson will maybe play like 3 or 4 games and be done. That's kind of what I predict.
It's all about winning.
Yeah.
If he wins, they're not pulling him. But
I don't see him lasting long. Just don't. I think he's done.
We'll see. He's been working out. You know, the one thing that happened between last year and this year, he don't have Sean Payton telling him not to put out those social media videos. So
he's going to be the best backup in the NFL at the start of the season.
I wouldn't. I think he's still starting, Caleb.
He's starting, Caleb. Sorry, bro. Nice one though. You tried.
We'll have the cast to come back on. So if we're wrong, Pinky, we eat crow.
I'm gonna owe him a bottle of whiskey if we bet a bottle of Buffalo Trace on it. So
we did do that. A lot more confident then than I am now, unfortunately. But still gonna believe in my guy. To keep it going.
I mean, I think you will always die on that hill. So
look, if he plays this year, Pinky, and he doesn't play well, I'll say he's done. Like there'll be too much talent around him and what I believe is a competent offensive play caller for me to say that there were reasons for him to not do it. So if he gets a true opportunity this season and doesn't handle his business, you won't hear me talking about that anymore.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. He's got to play a little bit if he's going to get a job next year. I mean, I think he'll get a job next year regardless, but if he wants a starting job next year, he's got to play some this year. So he's got to play well this year, which, I think Arthur Smith, the way that offense was run, again, run the football, play action, lots of easy, like you said, easy plays for the quarterback to make. Could really help him look
everybody
good.
was basically saying, what was Tennessee doing? Tannehill's washed when they acquired him. And he came out and balled for that club and Vrabel and Arthur Smith.
Oh.
And revived his career. So, good for you, little Yingling.
I thought, because we're talking about Pittsburgh, little Yingling beer.
So, to me, Justin Fields would be Ryan Tannehill on steroids with his skill set and what he's capable of and the way you could play call for him to make life easier on him. And you're getting him younger than you got Tannehill. So if you're able to fix Tannehill and correct what he was having struggles with, you get Justin Fields in there even younger. To me, it just seems like the perfect fit for both parties. And that's why I was so excited when I saw him get picked up and traded for by Pittsburgh. It just made too much sense to me. So we'll see what happens in the long run, but I'm still hopeful he's going to get a chance to show what he can really do. And I believe if he does that, we're going to see a special quarterback.
I'm going to try to get half price tickets to that Steelers game. I don't think I'm going to get them, but I'm going to try. That's one of the games I'm going to try for.
It's a lot of terrible towels in Denver.
Oh, bro. There's tons of terrible towels in Denver.
I mean, I know they travel well as a fan base, but man, there's a lot of them in Denver.
When I went to that Tebow playoff game, so I was at the Tebow playoff game and I was at the Peyton Manning 2015 playoff game. Both games, way too many Steelers fans there.
Yeah,
way too many. It was crazy. They definitely invade wherever they are. And they pay that money, right? So. Well, that brings us to the Cinderella story of the AFC North, of what was the Cleveland Browns. Looked like they weren't going anywhere. That middle of that season, Deshaun started playing. He got hurt a little bit, started playing really bad. They didn't look great at all. Got freaking spanked by the Broncos. Now, that was with the backup quarterback playing. Both backups played, actually, in that game. And then, they just resurrected Joe Flacco. The corpse that was Joe Flacco. Got him off the couch, got him in. And somehow he figured out how to use David Njoku, who became like a literal superstar in those last 6-7 games of the season. This is what we thought he would be since coming out of Miami. And he's had flashes, but that was 6 straight weeks of nothing but great, great performances every single week.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to take a step back this year, and there's no necessary rhyme or reason for it because that defense is still going to be really good. They've got a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. I think Watson plays okay. I just think they're going to be one of those teams that every year there's 6 teams that flip from playoffs to non-playoffs, and I feel like Cleveland is in that category. And look at their division. Their division alone says somebody's going to fall, and I just feel like Cleveland's going to be the ones on the outside looking in.
Right. I think Cleveland's still the team. When they walk into any game, you're not sure they're going to win, but could they go out and beat the brakes off of somebody any given week? They can.
Yep.
And then could they go out and look horrible against a team? I just feel like they're like the Jekyll and Hyde of this division. What are we going to get on any given Sunday?
Now, I will say this. If we get 90% of Deshaun Watson from Houston, that changes everything. That absolutely changes everything.
I just don't know if that guy's there anymore.
I don't either. That's the thing. And you know how big I was on Watson before shit hit the fan. He was my first Justin Fields, really. And you even came around on him quite a bit there before everything went down. So the potential was ceiling of being arguably the best quarterback in the league. That was trajectory. And yes, I'm dead serious when I say that.
Bro, he had Mahomes down 28-7.
Yeah, and then Bill O'Brien made some decisions as a head coach that will haunt him.
And then they lost like 52-28 or something.
So his ceiling, his potential, his skill level was crazy high. You take 2 years off though, 2+, and then a couple injury seasons, and it changes everything.
Well, now and now with that shoulder,
yeah,
you know, is it going to be back to normal? Is it always going to have a little kind of a hiccup in there when he's throwing? So I think they did bring in good insurance.
Yeah,
they did let Joe Flacco go, but they did bring in Tyler Huntley and Crab Daddy. You know I love me some Crab Daddy.
Yeah, you do.
So
you big JMO fan.
You know, only so many guys could get caught doing stupid stuff and not get completely canceled in life, right? And JMO's been one of those dudes. Like the whole stealing crab situation, the whole grabbing an Uber driver's privates and getting away with that without a lot of harm there.
Eating W's in pregame speeches.
Right. So maybe he's matured by now, maybe. But at least I think he's at least some insurance for if Deshaun comes out. Although Cleveland's still this is the third year of a 5-year completely guaranteed contract.
Yeah, they're not.
I don't know where they're at in the can we cut him and take that cap hit? Because they're paying it regardless.
Yep.
But they could cut him if they wanted to, but God, what a mess. I think we both agree, right? They're still a better team today if Baker's still their quarterback.
Yeah, because of everything you gave up to get Deshaun Watson. And he's not playing better than Baker Mayfield right now. So
I mean, there's an argument Baker's playing better.
Absolutely there is. There is. So it was a dumb trade to begin with. Everybody felt it was a dumb trade. And then to not only make the trade, but then the way in which you convinced him to go ahead and say, I'll play for you is by guaranteeing him an entire $250 million contract.
I mean, that's a no-go for me. That's a no-go for me from the beginning. If a guy goes, you know what? I don't really want to play for you guys. So then you guys go, well, how about if we just guarantee you everything? I guess I wouldn't mind playing for Cleveland. Sure.
Yeah, a lot of red flags. Now, if he had never had his issues and he was prime Deshaun Watson, but still wanted out like everybody was hearing before everything hit the fan, because Denver almost, there was rumors Denver was going to grab him. And then they quickly were like, we're out. Once the number got to like 5 or 6 chicks, Denver was out. That was the end. That was too many. And then we know where it went from there. But if you gave up all that and guaranteed him the $250 when he was playing prime Deshaun Watson, I'd have said worth it. I totally would have said worth it. People probably still would have said I was crazy, but I would have said worth it back then. But what are you thinking when he has 2 years off? There's all these allegations where you know he's going to get suspended. You know injuries are going to happen because of all the time off. Like, there's so many red flags at that point that it made zero sense to move forward. So for the league should have told Houston, nope, we're good. You eat that one. Like, I don't know why any team would have traded for him at that point, to be perfectly honest with you. And Atlanta's got to be stoked at this point. They've got 2 quarterbacks where they could have had none if they had traded for Deshaun Watson.
And we all know sometimes if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. So, I mean.
Well, that's not their case, I don't believe. I think that's just a saying that somebody made up.
I got where you went going, Pinky.
No, well, that's from back in like the 70s. That's an old
when there was
That's
a
an
lot
old
of
football
terrible
saying.
quarterbacks in the league. A lot of terrible quarterbacks.
Absolutely. There were a lot of terrible starting quarterbacks in the 70s.
So that was made by somebody who just didn't have any quarterbacks, and they were trying to make themselves.
No, that came out from the Clayton or Craig Morton, Roger Staubach QB battles in the 70s. When they were having them actually interchange play series in the game back on the Tom Landry Cowboys.
Yeah, well, that's just stupid coaching.
That's where that saying came from. If you have two QBs, right, you have none.
Right. Well, that's because he was never letting a QB play. That's a problem. But anyways, Cleveland made a terrible mistake. They're going to eat it for another couple of years before they can even move on. And by that time, the talent they have on this roster, that defense and, Njoku, Amari, their run game and that offensive line is Super Bowl caliber, plain and simple. But I don't think they're going to get the play from their quarterback that's going to put them in position to do that, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think that's why I'm out on Cleveland this year. I'm really liking I think Joel Klatt is getting credited with the term, and it might be some other guy. But does he pass the confetti test? Is like a saying that's going around. And I want to say it's Joel Klatt that says it. I do not see Deshaun Watson having confetti fall down on him. Not anymore. No way. So it's one of those things like, is he good enough to win you games? Maybe. Is he good enough to carry your team? Not at all. I don't know if he's in the Kirk Cousins realm at this point. He's not. He's not. He's, in all honesty, Pinky, I'd put him below your Andy Dalton line at this point right now. Because Andy Dalton could at least carry a team to the playoffs and play pretty good. I don't see Deshaun Watson even having that potential at this point. Now, could I be completely proven wrong and Deshaun Watson of old shows up? Yeah, that is still a possibility. Well, I think this season tells you whether or not that will ever come back. Well, the only way that the Cleveland Browns are making the playoffs this season is if Nick Chubb is healthy. And I don't know if he's going to be healthy till midseason. I disagree with that. I think Ford and that offensive line and some of the other backs they brought in are capable. They brought in some sneaky guys like Nyheim Hines, and they brought in another guy. I had it on my list. Donta Foreman. Deontay Foreman. Yeah. Deontay Foreman, yeah. And their draft was all right. They had two guys in their draft that I really liked. The Michael Hall from Ohio State and Zach Zinter from Michigan. Yeah, two great picks. And again, trenches guys, which is what you need. So I'm not worried about their running game at all, to be honest with you. But Deshaun Watson has to play better. Hold on, though. I think those guys can absolutely get the job done, but it's a whole lot different than when you have Nick Chubb out there. Nick Chubb is arguably the best running back in the league when he's on the field. So, yes, you're going to get a drop-off. I agree with you there. We know how I feel about Mr. Chubb. But I think Ford is very capable. Like a fantasy darling capable if he gets a good run going. So don't undermine what they potentially still have there as, patchwork, if you will. I think they've still got some weapons potentially. Not as good as Chubb. Robert, do you got any Browns takes, Robert?
None.
He's like nothing. I got nothing on the Browns.
Nothing on the Browns.
I will say, Robert, in the next, I want to say after Pinky Jr. turns 21, I want to go to the football game that we go to will be a Browns game.
Cool.
Because I'll take him out there. We'll do that. We'll do the Hall of Fame while we're out there. And we'll do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as well. It'll be an awesome weekend, but I want him to be 21 when we take him. Does Junior ever see his team win a Super Bowl?
Oh, that's a big, heavy question. You're also talking to a Lions person, so I don't even know if I'll ever see a Super Bowl, Caleb.
He's only 19, so the odds would say yes, but
Then you have a guy like Andy where he waits most of his life.
The better question, Caleb, does he see a Browns Super Bowl while I'm still alive? That's the question.
Man, yeah, that's
I already went morbid real quick.
Oh, boy.
We sell life insurance, Robert, so you know.
I'm not trying to talk about death on.
We get it. We talk about death all day. It doesn't even affect me at this point.
No, it doesn't. I'm just like, oh hey.
I actually had unfortunately a colleague of mine did pass away recently. A couple colleagues of mine have passed away in the last like 8 months. It made me think, what do I want? It's gonna be awesome, guys. I'm gonna make a playlist. We're gonna play my songs, and I'm gonna have like a couple different bottles of shooters. Pick which shot you want. Whatever he comes up, takes a shot, hopefully says something nice about me. Say whatever you want, but you take a shot, you say something, and then we're good.
Caleb's like, I got a list. I'm gonna need a lot more than one shot.
I'll put it down.
I've got receipts.
My parents showed me their headstone that they recently purchased and plotted out in the cemetery, and asked me if my wife and I need some grave sites for our family. So I'm like, well, hadn't thought about that one yet. And they're like, well, there's not a lot of spots out here. There's kind of finite space where this cemetery exists out in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, out by the farm. So I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll give it some thought.
Dude, you're gonna have to they're gonna have to pay for their bodies to go from like Arizona to Nebraska.
Oh yeah,
man, that's not cheap, bro.
Getting buried with the fam.
Burial or cremation?
Well, they'll be cremated. Okay. So it changes things a little bit.
And then brought to the. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was part of the conversation. You do regular. It's one body per plot. You do cremation. You can do 4.
And look, guys,
this is not a BOGO deal, Caleb.
I was like, oh, that's how it works. All right, that's how many spots we have available. Okay, all right, we're good.
Oh man, but I don't even know where we're going with that. All right, oh yeah, Caleb. As long as Jimmy Haslam owns that team, they will not win a Super Bowl.
Well, he will eventually not own the team in his lifetime. But is that enough to change the Browns' fortune?
I think it would help. I think new ownership would definitely help.
Yeah. Cheers, my guy. Yes, it would help.
Since he took over the Browns, I don't think he's Daniel Schneider level, but he's not too far below that.
Wow. Yeah.
Ooh, 20 seconds. What you gonna do?
Yeah. So, in conclusion, Baltimore, Cincy, with Cincy having an opportunity to possibly knock him out of the top spot, but Baltimore, Cincy, Pittsburgh, and we think Pittsburgh is definitely competing for one of those playoff spots. And then the Browns are kind of outside looking in and have a down year compared to what they had last year.
Yeah, I don't see how Deshaun Watson gets better. And I think that's what you need for them to take that next step. And I just don't see that happening,
especially in that division.
Yeah,
I'm excited when we do the schedules and actually pick records to see the schedules of the AFC North and the NFC North and go through these divisions to see if it ends up.
I can tell you, Cleveland's starting 0-1.
Well, I mean, that happens for a lot of teams every year.
Well, hold on. Might have to rethink that. Dallas does struggle against physical teams, and Cleveland is a physical team. That is one thing about them. They are physical.
Can Deshaun Watson handle being pressured all game?
Cleveland's O-line's pretty good. They're not going to just let Micah wreck house all game.
I didn't say he's going to be sacked. I said, can he handle being pressured all game? Because he will be pressured all game.
I don't know, man. I'm excited for that. That's Brady's first game. I will definitely be watching that one.
Now, if Cleveland is smart and they just run the ball down Dallas's throat.
Yeah, Dallas can't defend the run at all.
They'll be fine. I don't know if Stefanski is that intelligent. I'm still on the fence with him.
2-time coach of the year?
Yeah, it just seems like that team is up and down a lot.
It is.
They're not
It is
very
funny.
consistent.
It is kind of funny that Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year last year, and immediately the week after, or just the following week, D'Amico Ryans just demolishes them.
Yeah, Flacco played real bad.
Real bad.
So
Real bad.
we'll see. But I am excited to do these records for these two conference Norths, and see if it really will turn out the way we're kind of.
I think that's going to be tough. I think that one's going to be really tough. So I think where are we going next week? Are we?
Well, we've done NFC and AFC East, AFC and NFC North. So
we haven't done the South yet.
Nope, we got the South and the West.
Okay. All right, Robert. It's come, bro. We're going to talk about football. And you're up, my man. Educate me.
Well, actually, first, you actually did get to watch a portion of a Euro game. So let's start off with that. How did you feel about actually watching it and kind of get a feel for how it's played?
Look, as long as I've got food and a beer in my hand and good people that are like excited about the game and like actually talk about it, I like that. Like, to me, like, the fan experience is everything.
True.
I can't sit and watch a soccer game and know what's going on. So if I have two people next to me that do know what's going on and can commentate a little bit for me to make me feel like, oh, okay,
you know,
now I know.
All right.
That just like makes it more interesting to me.
That's fair.
So watching that game, it was Portugal and Serbia. No,
Slovenia.
Slovenia, and I think we only got to watch the first half, and then we had to go back to work. And the second half, I remember I was talking to Courtney, trying to tell her a story because it was Bobby Bonilla Day. Yeah. And I was trying to explain to her what Bobby Bonilla Day is. And she's like, Pinky, it's going to penalty kicks. You're going to have to tell me after the penalty kick.
Yes.
And so she's like, if you want me to pay attention, you got to wait until after the penalty kicks are done.
It's important. It's important. So, so Caleb, I am very animated when it comes to watching football. I am in it. I am hooting, hollering, jumping up and down, throwing my arms around. I get into it.
I used to be that guy.
And we'll go backwards here because I haven't actually watched the Netherlands Turkey Austria game at all, but I know there's some pretty good highlights from that. But the Portugal Slovenia game, that was all intensity. Slovenia wanted it, and Portugal just trusted Ronaldo, and it's a real shame. Which, Pinky, I know you got a lot of that commentation from Courtney and I.
You guys aren't big Ronaldo fans. I mean, it's not a shock.
I used to be, but I personally am not. I mean, I didn't agree with his Saudi move. I know why he did it, and I can respect it for the money. But overall, he is not. I just don't think he's.
Didn't he get like $1 billion though?
Yeah, he got a ridiculous amount.
I mean, can you fault anybody for going and playing for $1 billion?
It's not just that. He would have kept playing in Europe if people would stop telling him he was going to be on the bench. And that's what was happening. No different than Portugal benching him in the last major tournament.
Yeah.
Not even asking him to be on the team for the last major tournament. I mean, so his class is obviously that of still being able to play at the highest level, and people are blackballing him. So the move to Saudi was multi-layered.
But at the same point, Caleb, I don't know, did you watch the Portugal game?
I did.
They have other talent.
Yeah, that's on the coach and the teammates
so
God knows what they were thinking. They had plenty of opportunities, and they obviously were pushing the pace on Slovenia. Slovenia just looked like they were playing with all heart and were managing to keep it close. So I didn't see a game where I was like, Portugal doesn't look good. I saw a game where I was like, Portugal's going to be lucky to walk out of this because they're obviously the more talented team. They're just not playing like it for whatever reason. They couldn't find the back of the net. Could not. but Ronaldo's PK was the epitome of what that game was for Portugal. I mean,
I think
he
that's the
struck that.
epitome of where
He
Ronaldo's
struck
at
that
in international
so
game.
nice. That was going side net. He struck it with pace. That goalie just guessed right. And that's what you have to do at that level. And he guessed exactly right. Not low, not high, mid-level, jumped to my left, and he barely got his hands on it. So that was the game for Portugal in one little moment. So the fact that they then went and smoked Slovenia in the PKs, I think was kind of, the ball doesn't lie kind of thing. That's kind of what I felt like after those PKs went down. Like Portugal should have won that game. And if they didn't, it would have been a huge upset.
I personally think Slovenia should have won it. I don't think Portugal looked good enough, and I personally think they're going to fail against France.
Not like France is looking good.
I mean, that was probably the most boring game I've watched this out of the two tournaments. That was the most uneventful, boring game to watch.
Yeah, he was like, Pinky, did you watch? I was like, no. He's like, good. You didn't miss anything.
Belgium's golden generation obviously failed miserably.
No, the idea of Belgium's golden generation started and ended with Eden Hazard.
I mean,
because
really
in
good.
the last 10 years, Belgium they've gotten decent, they've gotten better, but they haven't shown any top quality class where they're going to be continuing to go out and show that they're dominant in this. And that's why they're still the third ranked team behind France and Argentina, which boggles my mind because when you've got France going up against Belgium, usually France is on point. And when I was listening to the matches, the commentator saying this was their 76th matchup overall, which is quite a lot if you want to put it in to FIFA numbers. For international friendlies and things like that. It's pretty insane. And they just like they didn't even need to be there, both teams. It honestly was terrible. And I think if France will have the upper edge because they've got the more of the team play down, and if Portugal is going to solely rely on Ronaldo like they did against Slovenia, Portugal's done. I don't see them lasting much longer. I don't see them getting out of the quarterfinal. Portugal is going to be done here.
Yeah, I like Portugal over France. France has looked, at least Portugal has shown flashes of brilliance. Where I've watched what I've seen of France this tournament has left me.
France is favored. By the way, I want you to know.
Yeah, I know they are. But from what they've left me. Very much wanting always. They just haven't looked good, and they've looked what's the word I'm looking for? Lackadaisical the whole tournament in a way. So I'm not.
Are you coming down to Great British Food Company on July 14th, Robert? Is that what's happening? Are we going to Fuzzies? Where are we going?
So yeah, probably you're talking for the Euro final. Yeah, no, let's do that. Final. We'll do the Fuzzies. I mean Friday. So I got to figure out what I'm doing on Tuesday because I'm going to do something for that semifinal at 1. But yeah, Sunday of the 14th. Let's figure out the Brit because that'll be a good place to go. That was a cool little soccer area. So for sure, which I'm hoping Germany can beat Spain.
Let's go, Deutschland! Let's go.
Which did you see the goal that Georgia made, Caleb, on Saturday or on Sunday?
No, I missed it.
Georgia opened Spain up in the first 18 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was incredible. And then Spain had a real hard time coming back from it. And then in the second half, they were able to just find the net consistently, but they took a while. So I don't know how Spain's going to hold up against Germany because they've been holding pretty strong.
That's what that Spain style of football does when it's all possession. And if they're able to get that going, it puts the other team at a giant disadvantage because you're constantly chasing. Now, Germany's one of the best defensive teams that there is, and also one of the most fundamentally sound teams that there is. That's just kind of what Germany's known for. So they'll be able to stay composed if Spain's able to put that pressure on them. So I think this is kind of a toss-up. I think Germany's been the most consistent, maybe not spectacular by any means, but they definitely look like the class right now in this tournament. So it would surprise me very much if Spain beat them.
Which, I mean, I'm also excited for this because this is the next generation Euro final from 2008 when Spain was crowned. So I'm excited to see how this will play out.
Spain has some crazy young talent that over the next couple of
they're going to be
cycles is going to be crazy fun to watch. So
they'll be top tier again.
Yeah.
If they don't do something scary in the World Cup in 2 years, they'll win it in the year after or the next cup after that.
That would not be a stretch to say by any means. I think England and the way they decided to sneak through was insane. The fact that they were able to finally find the back of the net was crazy. That Bellingham goal was sick.
I thought England was going to be England, and then that bicycle kick happened, and I'm like,
Dude,
what?
That Bellingham goal was sick. To put that in the back of the net the way he did in that moment was top tier. But they have not looked like the favorites that they were predicted to be. They have
Not
looked
at all.
subpar as well. And that it's crazy to say, but this tournament as a whole has just been lackluster. There has not been it has not felt like the
Been
same
more exciting than the
level
Copa.
of I mean, there just hasn't felt like the same level of intensity that you normally see in these Euros. So I don't know if that'll change come these semis coming up, quarters and things of that nature. But we'll see how. I mean, the big dogs are going to start playing each other, and that's going to be what it is. So we hopefully we'll get some quality here over the next week.
Yep.
Let's go. Deutschland.
Which, I guess is a good segue to the Copa tournament and kind of comparing the two. This officiating for both tournaments has been awful.
It's not been good.
I mean,
the inconsistency is crazy.
And I am not rose-colored glasses blinded by this by any means. That Germany-Denmark game should have been 2-1. That VAR offside was crap. And I get it. I mean, you have a heel past it and VAR catches it, sure, you're offsides. But you're losing, I feel like, something with the game there. When you have something as close as that, I have a real hard time agreeing with VAR on it.
Well, I was always taught it's center mass.
And so that's where a lot of
center
these
mass
goals
needs to be leaning off sides or in front of for it to be counted. It doesn't seem to be the way they're calling it. But then you get that VAR review in the Euros, and then you get the American VAR review
where the Uruguay has two players completely offsides.
I said there was no way they're going to call it back because I fully believed it. But like being nonpartisan as much as I can, that is kind of the definition of offsides. So to review it and then not overturn it is wild. So the fact that there's the technology there and it's being used so inconsistently, and then the head officials are calling games so inconsistently, where some are calling them crazy tight, some are calling them really loose.
And some are not even playing advantages half the time. Yeah, it's insane.
It is it's hard to watch at times for sure, because that inconsistency kills a game. It kills players' momentum. It kills what they're trying to accomplish because you don't know where you stand. It's a bad look.
No, really. And even that's what I mentioned it when we were talking about the AFC. There was a call here where Colombia had what looked like an advantage, and they called it back for a Brazil penalty when Colombia was on a return with the ball. So it's just one of those that didn't make much sense for it. And even the commentators are like, why is this play on? Then you had the one yesterday where the referee pulled the card, then said, we're still playing advantage. So what are you doing here? You have to make a decision and choose that. And it's hurting the game a lot. And and with Uruguay and the United States game was very violent. For a good 10 minutes there.
It wasn't a Mexico US game, but it was on the verge of getting out of it a little bit.
It was getting nuts. So I'm disappointed with some of the officiating. However, the United States just are sloppy. They need to tighten it up and find the chances and create the chances. They just can't be made.
So talent's one thing, but Pinky, what do I always say a coach's job is?
Develop
and put that talent in the best position to succeed.
Your job as a coach is to put your talent in positions to succeed based on what their talent is. I don't see that from Burkhalter. Don't see it. You go back and look at what the U.S. was doing under Jesse Marsh and the way they were playing, and then you go look at the way Canada's playing right now.
Oh, wait, didn't Canada just get into the knockout?
Canada advanced. Canada advanced. So you cannot tell me a coach that guys want to play for, that they believe in the scheme and the quality and everything that goes with it. You cannot tell me and make me believe that doesn't have a huge impact. So for people saying that the U.S. talent is just not on that level, I don't think they've been watching. I don't think they understand what's truly there and how much black cloud is hanging over that team right now, because that's what it looks like on the field. They don't look like they want to be out there playing.
Pulisic certainly doesn't.
No, it's bad. It's bad. So while the players have a lot of blame, don't get me wrong, if they're playing for somebody that they don't want to be around, it's never going to look good, period. So the U.S. Soccer Federation has a huge opportunity here that they will not take advantage of if I was a betting man. And Berhalter will continue to be the head man going into the World Cup cycle. And all the hope I had of the potential and what this team could kind of dark horse and underdog do is out the window at this point in time, as long as he's the coach. Now, all that being said, I don't think anybody's on the level of Argentina in that tournament, and it's theirs to lose without a doubt.
Completely agree. And honestly, I think if Messi wins this with Argentina again, he retires completely from international.
Ooh, I think he's still thinking about a World Cup run in America.
I don't know.
He's living in Miami now. I think he's going to stay just enough to make one last run with Argentina potentially and repeat. How many people have repeated as World Cup champions? There's only like 3 or 4 teams.
I think. Let's see.
I know Brazil's done it. I feel like Italy did it once. I might be wrong on that, but I feel like Italy did it once.
Only 2. The first to do so was Italy.
Okay.
And then Brazil became the second.
Yep.
But no team has done it. So won the second ever World Cup, 1934, extra time, then repeated in 1938. Then Brazil did it in 58 and 62. There has not been anyone to do it since 1962.
How you like that stat poll, Pinky? How you like that?
That's pretty crazy.
So I think that poll and the fact that it's in America, Robert, is enough to keep Messi around for one last go.
We'll see. I don't know. I hope he just ends on the win, but I could see where he does it.
I mean, let's be honest. That Argentina team has enough young talent to definitely be one of the front runners come that tournament. And if Messi were to win 2 World Cups in a row with Argentina, I mean, is there a question about who the greatest soccer player ever is?
No. I mean, Messi already is the greatest. We're not going to have to debate that, but...
Whoa.
I don't know, man. Messi's...
You're throwing him right above Pele and Maradona just like that?
I would.
Whew.
He didn't even think twice.
No, he did not. He did not. That's
Messi's has just been a step above, and even from Pele and everything like that, there's just some things that Messi can do with the ball, man.
Pele and Maradona were no slouches.
I'm not saying they were slouches. I just think Messi just has that little bit extra spice.
Man, all right. Well, he wins the second World Cup back to back. There would be no questions in my mind. But Pele's got what, 3 with Brazil? Not to mention all the other records and everything else he's got. Maradona has 1, and arguably the most infamous soccer play in the history of the game with the hand of God.
Yep. 1958, 1962, and 1970 were Pele.
Yep. So yeah, can't quite put him above Pele just yet. I think if Pele played in today's time,
And Maradona has 4
World Cup titles.
Or no, he played in. Oh wait, that was not what I asked you.
Yeah, no, he's got 1, I believe, maybe 2, but I thought it was just 1.
Yeah, just 1 in '86.
Yeah, and that's the hand of God. So there's reason to believe he doesn't even have 1. So if you want to put Messi above Maradona, I'm not going to be mad about that at all, because I probably would have him slightly above Maradona. But Pele, I don't know. Think about Pele playing in today's day and age, what he would be doing in La Liga or in the Premier League, and the stats and stuff he would be putting up, like Messi and Ronaldo have been able to do. That wasn't really an option per se back then, the way it is now.
Although, as an interesting stat, though, as far as hardware is concerned, Messi does lead in both league titles and international trophies out of the 2 of them.
Yes, but again, Pele wasn't playing in the same leagues in that sense that Pele was playing in. The year-round type of soccer that Messi's been playing and things of that nature. So there's some large differences. You know, Pele's whole career is almost based on what he did with Brazil and the national team, where Messi's whole career is almost built on what he did at Barcelona. So
True.
Some differences there. And, you know, there's some people that will say what Messi did at Barcelona outweighs what Pele did with Brazil due to the level of competition and things of that nature. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the quickness in which you went that route.
I'll say you're wrong.
Surprised me a little.
Could understand and appreciate that. So, but hey, that's what this is all about, is we get to debate about it. So
That we do. Any more soccer news, sir?
Well, with what just happened, for the first time, so out of the last 5 Euros, Brazil's won 4 of the tables.
Copas.
They just took second in their table to Colombia, which is a pretty big deal, because now Brazil is going to go against Uruguay, which is historically an interesting matchup. I think Brazil will win that, but I don't know if they'll go farther than that.
Yeah, this is the worst Brazil team that they've had in decades.
This is not a sharp team. Not a sharp team.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do for sure.
So,
Pinky,
but that's what I got.
Any final thoughts here on the Euros or the Copa?
I mean, I'm gonna watch the Copa or Euros. We're gonna watch the Euros. I'm gonna go with Robert. We'll watch the Euros. Should be a good time. Fuzzies is always good. Fuzzies plays a lot of soccer, actually. They're one of the few bars I've noticed. Like, if I go into Fuzzies, they will normally have soccer on. So,
I will 2 things to finish here. We'll talk a little NBA, but before we do that, there is one baseball thing I did want to mention tonight. So it's funny that Clayton brought up the Brewers and Pinky said nobody cares about baseball, because we don't necessarily care until the playoffs start unless some amazing things are happening. I don't know if you guys have caught this or not, but Aaron Judge is outpacing his 2022 season, where he hit 62 home runs and the works. His bat average, his RBIs, his home runs, his slugging percentage, his on-base percentage, everything is above that year. And by, in some cases, considerable numbers. So what Aaron Judge is doing this year is historically incredible. So if you are looking for something to pay attention to with baseball right now, kind of in the middle of the season, dead time of year in sports, as people call it, even if you don't like the Yankees, Aaron Judge is must-watch television if you get a chance. So I will recommend that. And then for basketball, we had the draft and we had free agency kickoff. The draft, a couple things stuck out to me. Danny Ainge is doing work for Utah. I really like what he did. And Tim Connolly with Minnesota is also doing work, and I really like what he did. I know a lot of people said they liked what Denver did. I did not. As a Nuggets fan, I don't think it was a good pick. I don't think it was a wise use of the asset. He's not going to back up Jokic. Holmes will be a power forward, so even a backup big is not what the Nuggets drafted. So I'm not feeling that pick. I do like what those two teams did. There are a couple other picks that I liked. The one other thing I'll really talk about though with the draft is the Bronny James hate and the Lakers hate. This is what I'll say. If this was some dude who was just an average basketball player playing for the Lakers and they drafted his son, people would be talking about this as an awesome story. But because it's LeBron James and because of the clout he carries and because everybody loves or hates him, his son now is a ploy in the conversation, a pawn, if you will. Whether you think he should have been drafted or not, organizations in sports make terrible draft picks every year that fail miserably every year. The NBA second round is basically a crapshoot. And you roll the dice and you pick somebody based on really what you should be based on is there enough potential here to be a bench player for us? And if you feel like that potential is there, then draft the player, regardless of what somebody else says or what his stats were, or if he didn't play in college, or if he's some overseas guy that nobody's ever heard of. People are forgetting that Danny Green, does that name sound familiar to either one of you guys? Danny Green was the sixth man at North Carolina. The sixth man. Got drafted in the second round by the Spurs. Ended up having a very long NBA career as a 3-and-D wing. That's exactly what Bronny James can be. And that's exactly what the Lakers need to surround LeBron James with. So regardless if you think he only got drafted because he's LeBron's son, his skill set fits into what they're looking for. And as a second-round pick, number 55, you're not necessarily expecting that pick to turn into anything anyways. So why not also make a cool story out of it, let dad and son play together, and if there's anywhere that Bronny James is going to develop into an NBA talent, wouldn't it be playing with arguably the best player ever to play the game and his dad to teach him the way the game is played at that level? So I personally don't see anything wrong with the pick. In fact, and it's crazy to say about the Lakers with the way they've been doing things, but honestly, all I see with the Bronny James pick are positives. So I think it's wild that it's received as much hate as it has.
Well, it's going to receive hate because it's nepotism at its highest level. That's the whole point. Like, if it's not his son, they don't pick him based on how shitty his numbers were or the fact that he had a heart issue. Most teams didn't probably have him on his draft board just because he had a heart issue. He's not the biggest kid either. Like, when you look at, LeBron James, who's like an Adonis of gods, Bronny is nowhere near that, So I don't hate on it because I'm like, whatever, like he wants, they want him to play, LeBron wants to play with his son. If you had the opportunity to do that, who wouldn't want to do that? And again, it cost the Lakers nothing. The second round 55th pick, which is like third or fourth from the last pick of the round, who gives a shit?
Yeah. So that's the Bronny James take. My favorite player in the draft, and I pounded the table with this to Pinky, so he'll be familiar with this name. but I'm going to wrap back around to this because I think Tim Conley stole him at like pick 27 or something like that, is Shannon. And I talked about him leading up to the draft. Really thought the Nuggets should have gone after him. There's a lot of teams that should have gone after him, but he slid down the draft board because of some legal issues that were dismissed and are not an issue anymore for him. And Jay Billis said it live on the draft when he got picked. He believes he was a lottery talent that slid that far because of those court issues. So if he can continue to develop the way I believe he can, he is going to be a great talent to put along Ant and Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm drawing a blank on the guard they traded for. But they've got some weapons in Minnesota, and that was my favorite. I thought that was the absolute steal of the draft, was him falling that far and then him getting to go to Minnesota, where he'll get to showcase his skill as a really good scorer and a great wing defender. So felt like that would have fit in perfectly with what the Nuggets needed, and they decided to go a different route. So keep an eye on Shannon next year. Now with free agency, oh, go ahead. You got?
Oh, no, I was just saying noted.
Yeah, good. With free agency, I think there's a couple big things that have happened. The first being Paul George heading to Philadelphia, which if him and Embiid can stay healthy, they're right there with Boston. I fully agree.
Huge if.
But
huge
yes,
if.
I fully agree with you, Pinky. That is a huge if. The talent is definitely there, and I would love to see what they can do a full season healthy. But that is a big if, and they put all their eggs into that basket in Philly, and that could be a very bad move in the long run.
You got to understand that desperation, though, where they're at, desperation-wise. They tried the Harden thing. They've tried some other things. They tried trust the process, Ben Simmons, all that. Nothing's worked. And Embiid, when healthy, is one of the most dominant players in basketball.
Yeah, and Maxey was playing at a top 3-4 guard in the NBA. So that's your 1-2 punch. The question will be now, where does George fit into all of that, not being a primary option anymore? He's still an elite defender, but he's got to be on the floor, him and Embiid. And if they don't, then they're in a world of hurt and paying, that luxury tax for nothing. So that's going to be real interesting to see because it's all about health. I don't see any issues with fit or skill or anything like that. It's all health with that situation, and that's a crazy gamble to take. The other big one, I think, right now, as it stands, is Klay Thompson going to Dallas. So the best backcourt in the history of the game is no longer together, and Steph and Klay, Splash Bros are no more. Lakers apparently offered more money, but he would rather play in Dallas with that situation, it sounds like. And it also sounds like Golden State did try to keep him, just not at the number Klay wanted to hear from them. And I can't really blame Golden State because you're not paying that second apron tax penalty when your team isn't competing for a championship.
Right.
And they know that. So while it's a bummer that he doesn't get to finish his career in Golden State with Steph, it's a bummer that they weren't able to work something out and put one last run together. I understand both sides here. Now, I think Klay is one of the best shooting guards in the history of the game. I think he got snubbed by not being on the 75 list. I think if he hadn't gotten hurt and missed those 2.5 years, he would be talked about as one of the greatest ever. I think people are forgetting that not only is he one of the best shooters in the history of the game, top 3, but he was also an elite defender. And he played both sides of the court. And Klay is one of my favorite players ever. I love Klay Thompson. Prime Klay would be hard to leave off my all-time starting 5. That's how good I think he is. The problem, though, now is he goes to Dallas, where if they're expecting him to be the third option, he can easily do that. But what I've seen from him over the last year and a half or so is a much more inconsistent Klay Thompson. And when you've got that inconsistency, now you go to a team that has two ball dominant guys. If you're having off nights, it's going to be really hard for you to get enough touches to find that rhythm again. And that's something that he would always be able to do in Golden State because of the way that offense played. Ball movement, team movement, get open looks, get guys off of screens, and that constant motion was a lot of that offense for him and Steph. He's not getting that down in Dallas. And as much as I love Klay, I think he has lost a step. So he's not an elite defender anymore. He is better than what they had in Dallas. So don't get me wrong there. He is an improvement on the defensive side, but he's not elite anymore. And he's not an elite scorer anymore. And so while on paper the fit looks like it could be really good because Klay's a catch and shoot guy and he can play defense, I think the deeper you look at it, the less likely I think it is to work. And I know I said the Luka and Kyrie thing couldn't work. And I ate some crow a little bit on that. But to an extent, I think the finals still kind of proved me right. Because when Luka went hardcore ball dominant, Kyrie was taken out of the game by a good defensive team in the Celtics. And he was never able to find a rhythm, ever. And they were able to tee up on Luka. I don't see Klay changing that a whole lot unless Luka changes the way he plays and Kyrie changes the way he plays to start moving the ball around more. And if that's not going to happen, I don't see this Klay fit being as nice in real life game situations as it looks on paper.
It just, to me, it almost feels like desperation more than anything. Like, we need a third guy to score more points. But you're relying on a guy who's pretty much past his prime with the injuries and everything. He's not the player he once was. What are you really getting? The contract's not horrible.
No.
By any means, but it's still you're almost paying a guy for what he's done versus what he's going to do.
Or what you hope he could be, and you're unsure if that's even possible anymore. So yeah, there's some big ifs there as well with that signing. Obviously, there's some other little signings here and there that I'm a big fan of, and I like the way some teams are building themselves up. I won't get into all that detail this evening, but the last thing I will say about the NBA, and it's kind of twofold and serious and hilarious, so stick with me here for just a moment, if you will. The Celtics signed everybody back. Derek White got paid. They've got They've got Brown locked up already. Porzingis is locked up. Drew Holiday is locked up. And then they went and paid Jason Tatum the largest contract in NBA history. So now they have the two largest contracts in NBA history in Brown and Tatum. They're two best players coming off a title, well-deserved. But they are so far into the second apron now that what they're going to pay next year and the subsequent years to keep these guys together is going to be absurd. We're going to see this new NBA tier level kick in drastically. It's the Boston Celtics that are going to be experimenting with it real heavily.
Yeah, I mean the penalties of like you can't do certain trades, you can't do salary dumps. There's a lot of things you can't do.
Yeah,
if you're over that second apron, that they're just going to be stuck.
Yeah, so they're very much all in for next year, and then they'll see what happens going forward after that. But they're for the next 2 years, they could go for a three-peat. They've got everybody signed. I say all that because I'm impressed by the owner going all in to do that, only to find out the very next day the Boston Celtics majority owner has put his stakes up for sale. So this dude was like, got my title. I'm going to pay everybody. I love this team. And now I want out because I don't want to spend my money on that. I'll let the next owner do that, which I think is hilarious. That dude's like, I'm going to save my money.
But
I'll pay everybody and then let the next owner decide.
But that's also genius because it's the next guy's problem. But that's probably like this is the most value that they're going to have.
Right, but that's why I think it's hilarious because he's like, it's going to be the next guy's problem. I'll pay you all now because I like what you did for me. You got us a title. It was deserved and earned. But I'm not going to be the one spending that penalty. I'm not going to be the one spending my money to pay that apron tax. I'm going to let some other owner do that. I thought that was hilarious.
I mean, Charlotte went for what, $4 billion?
Oh, don't get me wrong. He's going to get a lot of money on the sale.
But Boston's got to go for like what, 7 or 8?
God, yeah. I would say 7.5, 8 is probably the number for the Celtics. So, but I thought it was funny that after all that, he comes out and is like, and I'm selling. So, but yeah, I mean, they got paid. That team is put together. It's going to be really hard to fill out that bench over the next couple of years, but they're starting 5, 6 guys are locked up. So it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that moving forward.
Well, all you can do is try to go for it and see what happens, right? That's it. Like, can't be scared of that tax. You just gotta deal with it.
All right, Robert.
Those damn super teams.
Soccer's going on, so I don't know what this dead sports summer crap is y'all keep saying. It's alive and well. Sports is awesome, and the Olympics are coming up here very soon.
He's going to feel it real hard next year, Pinky. Next summer,
There's always soccer.
Not
always.
Not in the summer. Not usually. Unless you want to watch some MLS, which I'm good.
I mean, I don't disagree with you there.
Pinky, final thoughts, good sir?
Man. The Olympics, good Lord. Who gives a shit? I really don't care.
Everybody but you.
I mean, there's more people that don't really care. I don't care.
Millions of people around the world.
I am not trying to watch like stupid shit at like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Hundreds.
It's in Paris. It's not going to be at 2
world.
o'clock in the morning, bro. It'll be during the morning and afternoon. By the time 3 o'clock hits, everything will be done, and you won't even know.
I won't even know because I won't be watching.
Not the way NBC runs it. They're a big fan of that tape delay and playing it on primetime. They're terrible coverage. NBC is the worst.
Yeah.
Their Olympic coverage has been next to trash. With that being said, there are still sports to discuss. We're still going to discuss them. Stay with us, and hopefully you enjoy something. Do not let those moments with family, loved ones, friends, anyone you consider in your inner circle to go away without being taken advantage of. Cherish those moments. Love those moments. I know we certainly do, and we can't thank anyone who's been supporting us enough. It means the world. Appreciate everybody. Until next Tuesday. We're
See
out.
y'all.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come.